I've always wanted to share certain things on my show, and I have a little bit. I've peppered things here and there. But again, you always kind of get the leash pulled a little bit, like, hey, maybe this isn't the place for that. Well, there are a few different things that I spoke about. I have 2 young kids, and adamant that they don't wear masks. My kids have never worn a mask before. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that. And I started to feel weird when there was some resistance to me sharing those opinions that, you know, hey, how do you fellow moms and dads out there feel about your kids going to school with a mask on? And again, it gets weird when you can't even share this opinion that so many people are clearly feeling. And so, yeah, at that point, I was sort of made a bit of a promise that I wouldn't talk about these things any further. I really felt like something was eerily wrong was when I attended my very first protest. And it was the one taking place at City Hall, close to the hospital, up on 12th. And there was so much buzz about it, I had to go and check it out for myself and also interview people for my show. I wanted to find out what people were thinking. Of course, at this time, I'm behind the movement, but I'm kind of quietly, not really, So I show up, have a great time, meet some listeners, interview some people. There's tears, there's passionate conversations, and I intended to play those clips on the radio show the next morning. And then suddenly, the media is saying how horrible it was. They were blocking ambulances, and they're harassing nurses. And I was just, I couldn't believe it. And I saw it on one website, and then I saw it on another news channel, big mainstream, then another big mainstream news channel. And that's when I started to really get this sick feeling in my stomach, because I thought, okay, one news organization can get it wrong. Yeah. But how can they all have the same story, the wrong story? And then my mind is going crazy. Like, how do they coordinate this? Who's in charge of feeding the information to all of them? Like, who's that person? Or is it one and then the other 2 are following in their footsteps? It felt really weird. And but that's when I knew the media was not telling the truth. And since then, and we've seen it now with the trucker convoy, they're not telling us what's actually happening. I've been interviewing some of the truckers in Ottawa on my podcast over Zoom, and they're taking me on tours on their phone, and I see kids in bouncy castles and people high-fiving each other. It's like the Olympics on crack. And I'm like tearing up, getting choked up at how beautiful it is. And then you turn the news on, and it's the complete opposite. It's violent, and it's scary, and people's families calling them, are you okay, in Ottawa? So at that point you go, okay, something's really wrong here. And people need to start speaking out.
And I actually heard it on my wife's Instagram when she was watching it. If I had heard that while I was driving in my car, I would have broke down crying. Aww. Just to hear somebody speaking their mind in that way was pretty amazing. So I just want to say thank you.
I can't count the number of times I've had a lump in my throat this week with the messages of, people sending me the nicest things, like, you're a hero for speaking out. And it's like, I'm not a hero for speaking out. The heroes are in their trucks right now, fighting for making a change and getting our opinion acknowledged. I just simply spoke about it. It's the lamest thing you could do as a hero, but I mean, that's how I guess I feel. I feel awkward with that, with those types of messages. But anyways, yeah, that's like, it's a beautiful thing. I've had thousands and thousands of messages of people just saying, thank you for saying it somewhere publicly in mainstream media where it hasn't been spoken about. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so confused on why more people aren't just saying something. It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. Here's the thing. We're all at different levels of understanding of what's happening, So for me, I get called a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, as soon as you talk about the passport being, for our kids to get on, which I agree with, you're in conspiracy theory land for 6 months, then it comes true later.
Right. I was just going to say that. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and truth? Well, maybe 6 months, right?